Hello, welcome to another immigration art video. My name is Art Serratelli, and together with Mara Mijal, the two of us, we're the partners here at Serratelli Mijal, PLLC, Immigration Attorneys at Law. We're here to solve your immigration problems. If you've got any question of any sort, start with an email us, and then we'll either respond and try to get a conversation started through email, or we'll give you a call. We'll schedule a call. It's free of charge, and if you've got a question, we'll have an answer. Today's video is called 100 Days of Trump. What's up with immigration law? What has he done? Has he done anything good? Is everything bad? Or is it somewhere in between? Let's focus in this part of the video on what Trump has not done. Contrary to what you read, and the Indian press, the Indian rumor mill is the #1 cause of crazy in the world, in my opinion. Now, is that fair to our Indian viewers? You know it's true. Case in point. How many of you have read in the Indian press that, Trump is killing the H-4 EAD? He is not. He is not. Now, he might in the future, but as of right now, during these first 100 days, he is not. He is not. Anything you're reading is the internal White House communication that's being leaked. It ain't real until it's law. So don't read the Indian rumor mill press. Don't do it. The second thing Trump has not done, he has not killed or even threatened 36 months of OPT, the 12 months plus a 24-month extension. Now, there's a court case going on about that, but that's a court case. It was there when Trump became president, and it's there now. Trump may have to go on record about what he thinks is the right government approach, but I'll tell you what, the judge ruled in the first STEM OPT case, and the complainers, you know what they got? Instead of 29 months of OPT, they got, as a win in court, they got a 36-month OPT. To the winners, who are losers. They're losers. They're big babies in the global economy. They're losers. They're big babies in the global economy. Retool and suck it up, or be quiet and go be a barista. Where the work goes to the least paid, most efficient worker. That's life. That's life in the 21st century. If you can't adapt, sorry, that's the way it goes. Darwinism. Darwin told us this. No one was listening. So, we have no change in the H-4 EAD, and we have no change in the 36-month OPT STEM extension. If you think otherwise, stop buying into the hysteria. Okay? Seriously. It ain't real until it's law. All right, reading from notes I've taken. President Trump is on record as saying in the first 100 days, DACA is unchanged from President Obama's DACA policy. It is the same. Now, ignore the disingenuous, stupid reporters in the American media. They are biased against the president, clearly. And the most offensive thing I've read about DACA in these first 100 days came out of the USA Today, and these people at USA Today should hang their head in shame. They came out with an announcement, DACA student deported. It turns out the kid was in something called the 100-mile virtual border. Going back many presidencies, America has an internal border that is 100 miles in width from either a coast, the Gulf Coast, the Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, or a border, the Mexican border, the Canadian border. So if you are a Chinese student in a biology class with rubber hip waders in a swamp, collecting samples for some biology experiment, and you're near the Canadian border, say 20 miles from the Canadian border, an ICE agent can just pop out, or a Customs and Border Protection agent can just pop out of the woods and ask to see your paperwork proving that you're here lawfully. That's the rule. The USA Today article about the kid, the innocent kid who was deported because he didn't have his papers, well, guess where he was? He was within the 100-mile internal border that the USA Today conveniently forgot to tell us about. They're turning Trump into a demon. This is wrong. The kid broke a rule. I'm not saying it's a good rule. In fact, it's a really stupid rule. What about the Fourth Amendment right against unjust search and seizure? What is this, a Fourth Amendment free zone in this 100-mile virtual border? Are you kidding me? There are internal checkpoints in America. There are internal checkpoints in America to stop motorists to see if these motorists have proper lawful identification. It's like North Korea. You're not supposed to hassle our citizens in a constitutional republic on the highways, seeing if they've got their papers, but we can. So these 100-mile virtual border zones, in my opinion, I call them the Fourth Amendment free zone. The federal government is getting away with murder. But nevertheless, that's the law, okay? So here's what you should do. If you're a DACA kid here by the grace of an Obama program and Trump is the president, you know what you should carry? Your papers. So don't listen to the media. Don't buy into the hysteria of the media, because they will drive you crazy because they want you to read their articles and buy their newspapers and get your eyeballs to look at the advertisers that they've got on their online presence page and the hard copy ads in the physical newspaper. Don't buy it. Don't buy it. Critical thinking is key in this day and age. Okay, here's another thing that USA Today did that really drove me nuts. The next day, the very next day, they reported another DACA kid in trouble. And they wrote, DACA students slowly losing all protections. And then you read the article. You read it. And you know what it said? It said that DACA kids here who commit crimes are going to be deported. Hello? That's Obama did that. Obama did that, and Trump is still doing that. And you know what? If you're a DACA student here by the grace of an Obama program in the era of Trump, you better not commit a crime. If you're here as a DACA student, do your homework, study hard, get good grades. Don't go rob a liquor store. Don't do it. No, bad. What other positive things has the president put forward in the first 100 days? Well, in addition to cracking down on the abuse of the H-1B and L-1 systems by Indian IT firms that outsource American jobs and that get the lion's share of the very scarce, very limited number of H-1Bs allotted per year 85,000. Most of those go to these Indian consulting firms. Remember, Trump smackdown for Indian IT firms. Oh well. Trump wants change. He wants to hire American, and he wants people to buy American. He's calling the shots like he sees them. There perhaps are some trade imbalances that need to be adjusted, and he wants to examine those. That's fine. Just please don't provoke a trade war. Please, no global trade war. That'll lead into a slide of chaos and despair. But around the margins, fine. But hire American. What does that mean? He wants the best and the brightest in the United States working, including the best and the brightest international workers and scholars and international students who are already in the United States being educated in our colleges and universities. So he thinks, A, the H-1B lottery is a joke. What logical basis would any human being use to justify giving away 85,000 H-1Bs a year, a very scarce resource, giving it away through an open, random lottery system? Please, that is dumb. And Trump called it like he sees it. And coincidentally, I agree with him. The other thing he wants to do is replace. He said, you know what we should do instead of a lottery system? Why don't we open up? Let's open up every application envelope first and look and see what's inside there. And maybe we should give preference to those who have merit. Maybe we should look at the people and we should look at where they were educated. Perhaps, again, this is not a law, it's just a proposal. Maybe, perhaps, we should look at where the students were educated. In America, they get preference. If you have a PhD or a master's degree, maybe you get preference as well. If you study in the STEM fields, maybe you get preference over people in liberal arts. He wants to direct these brilliant minds to the areas that form America's competitive advantage in the global marketplace. And that's a good thing. Now, he also talked about wages. He said people that are going to be paid a lot of money and that have a lot of education and that are sophisticated in the fields that they've studied, they should probably get preference too. Who can afford to pay salaries that would attract the best and the brightest? Well, probably big companies. If a large company can pay a salary to attract the best and the brightest, and we reward people who have PhDs, master's degrees, and who have been educated in the United States, you know what? America will be better off. That's a good development. And you know what, President Trump? Bravo. In my prior video on President Trump, I predicted that Paul Ryan would be a check on the president because Paul Ryan is a conservative. Boy, was I wrong. So, who is putting a check on renegade populist President Trump? Who is? I'll tell you who is. It turns out it's the actual conservatives in the Congress and the liberal Republicans in Congress. The Republicans themselves are fighting with each other because the president has no belief system of his own, which is good or bad, depending on your point of view. But his proposals split his own party down the middle. Ha ha ha. And let's take an example. Let's take an example. The Great Wall of Mexico. Who decided not to fund? Not a penny. No money has been allocated to the Great Wall of Mexico. Who stopped the funding? The president's own Republican Party. Why? Because the parochial interests of the more liberal Republicans and the parochial interests of the more conservative Republicans were at odds. Do you spend more money for more security, or is spending more money a waste of money for not much improvement? Who else is a check on our populist renegade president? The courts. We are a constitutional republic, and the courts have equal power along with Congress and the president. And that crazy Muslim ban, it is tied up in the courts for all sorts of constitutional reasons, which we don't need to get into right now. But just remember, the President of the United States is not a king. He is not a dictator. We have a constitution that puts checks and balances on this guy. And don't freak out when you hear news reports, because the president is not as powerful as you think he is, or as you are led to believe by the media. So let's look at another initiative of President Trump with immigration. He said, let's defund sanctuary cities who treat unlawfully present aliens no differently than American citizens. In other words, if an unlawfully present alien is brought into the police station, just like an American, they will process that person the same way and release that person the same way as they would release an American. Trump wants all those unlawfully present aliens to be processed by local police as if the local police were the federal Immigration and Customs Enforcement Police. The local police are not federal police. Sanctuary cities, which is in my opinion, a slur. Sanctuary cities draw the line between federal and state power. And guess what? The courts have put the kibosh on defunding sanctuary cities because it's not constitutional. And again, it's tied up in the courts, just like the Muslim ban. Who knows, maybe one day we will get the Muslim ban. Who knows, one day sanctuary cities may be defunded. But right now, the Constitution is working, and we put the brakes on these cockamamie ideas spun from the policy-making division of the White House. That's where we're getting control. The Congress, the Republicans in Congress are fighting with each other, and the courts are putting the brakes on other aspects of immigration. So, one more time. The courts, Muslim ban, defunding sanctuary cities, and Congress, killing the Great Wall of Mexico. So far, I'm feeling good. So far, you should be too.